Hi there, my name is Dr. Bree Boppre. I'm currently an assistant professor of criminal justice at Wichita State University in Kansas. And I am also a board member of Criminology Consortium, known as CrimCon for short. So I'm really excited to be a part of CrimCon because we are offering a virtual conference as an alternative to the traditional academic conferences that would have been offered in person. And so this is a more accessible way to present your research and connect with others during a global pandemic and hopefully beyond. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, scholars across the globe have had to rely on virtual presentation formats when that's an option offered. So this has really forced us as researchers, scholars, and practitioners to become more creative and tech savvy. However, when presenting online, the conditions may not be the same as in person. When we're presenting in person at conferences, we expect to be in a room in front of a presentation screen, and our audience is there looking at us, interacting with us. Well, right now we're in a pandemic, and your audience is viewing from their own environments on a variety of devices, such as cell phones and tablets. So they may be watching from their desks, but the reality is that many of us are on the go. We might be watching between meetings or teaching. We might even be watching while on the treadmill or a cycle equipment. We might be with kids or dogs on our laps. Due to this unique format of being virtual, the CrimCon board and I wanted to provide you with some basic guides to help you prepare your CrimCon presentation, being mindful that our audience may not be the same as in traditional conference formats. And so through this presentation, I'll provide you with what to expect and then tips to ensure your academic presentation reaches your audience effectively in this virtual format. So here's a little bit about what to expect for CrimCon. This will be facilitated virtually, so I know many of us by now are familiar with virtual formats such as Zoom or WebEx. We are going to use one of those formats to present your slides, and then also it'll have your image, in camera format alongside your slides. So your audience will see both you, your camera, the slides, and they'll be able to hear you. We have a strict rule of 10 minutes for each presentation, and this is to ensure that everyone on each panel has enough time to present each presentation, but also we wanted to have CrimCon be a little different than traditional academic presentations. We want it to be concise and to the point, to present what points matter most to get across your message to your audience. And so there will be a brief question and answer session at the end. And so wait until the end to ask questions until everybody has presented. And so the first tip for effective presenting virtually is to make sure that you emphasize your key points. Remember, you only have 10 minutes, so think about the key points that you want your audience to remember from your presentation. Try not to get too tied up in the details. Provide a broad overview of your methods and emphasize your findings and the importance of your research. You could even start with the why or the important points that you want your audience to remember. Then move into the what and how you conducted that research. This will ensure that you're starting with the most memorable points and your audience will be more likely to remember it later. Also, make sure that you have legible slides. Again, people may be watching your presentation while on the go on mobile devices. Even in regular settings, a wall of text on a slide tends to lose your audience. It's too much information for them to process. And so make sure that your slides are legible and easy to read. Consider using images to portray meaning and use your voice to describe what's happening or the main findings instead of relying on slide text. And lastly, and most importantly, have fun. So, CrimCon is an unconventional group supporting an unconventional conference format. Ultimately, we want you to have fun both as presenters and as the audience. Please don't think of this as a traditional academic format. Feel open and free to use your creativity and break the traditional research presentation format. You do not need to follow the formula of a research paper. So, for example, you don't need to start with your introduction and methods. You could start with your findings and then build to how you got there. It's really up to you. Just make sure to keep it short and concise because you only have 10 minutes. And also, if you are in the audience, be mindful that the question and answer session is short. This is not a time to tell scholars what works they missed in their presentation or why you weren't cited. Keep your questions constructive and ask the things that would be relevant to the rest of the audience. For example, where do you see your work going from here? How can we use this methodology in the future? What was the biggest challenge you encountered in this study, and how did you overcome it? These are inclusive questions that might strike up interest or ideas among the audience. And remember, you can always reach out to the author or the presenters after for a more detailed overview of their study. So, to give you the most effective presentation, I wanted to share a few resources. So, the first is, of course, CrimCon. So, we are on Twitter, we're on Discord, and we also have our website, which will be linked. You can also check out Dr. Echo Rivera's resources. She runs a company called the Creative Research Commons, and so their goal is to really improve presenting, especially in unconventional formats. And so Echo and her team has resources on effective presenting, effective communication, and also how to present through Zoom. And also, Pexels is a great resource for high quality images that are open to use. So you are welcome to use them in presentations, and it'll help you make your presentations more visually appealing. So I know all of us at CrimCon are super excited for this, and I hope that you are too.